live. Not Let's Get Stupid. Be Better. Episode 19. Back with the Ross boss, Jacob Ross, in the basement, hanging out, staring at the Sub-Zero. If you're interested in any cold plunge therapy, subzeroplunge.com is your go-to spot. They have cold plunges, direct to sell, usually in about 6-week time period, give or take. They'll be to your door. They're usually one of the quickest shippers of any type of unit like this that comes with the chiller. You'll get, obviously, like I said, $250 off if you use code BeBetter at checkout. They're already discounted, so you'll get another discount on top of it. It supports my brother. It's a, kind of a fad, not a real fad, but a thing that started probably about 2 years ago, year or two ago. The ice therapy, people kind of became more known about it, started doing it more. And now it's kind of some of the people's regular routines is doing cold plunges.
Yeah.
The benefits are, you're going to lower your brown fat cells. You're going to, I forgot about this. You actually slow your heart rate down, your resting heart rate. If it's X amount of beats per minute, doing cold plunge regularly will bring it down, which will cause you to live longer, which is huge, right? Especially because I have heart problems in my family. So for me, that's like, if I don't want to do it for myself, I got to do this for my kids.
Sure.
Check on this ticker.
Everything you can.
You're going to feel better getting out of it. I'm looking forward to, if I'm tired after work one day, I can come down here, I can plunge for 2 minutes, I can pop out, and then you get that, help me with the word,
Serotonin
spike, and it lasts up to 4 hours. So it'd be perfect, if you're kind of a working class lifter like I am, come home, 3-4 o'clock, you're tired, but you got your kids. They want to play with you. Instead of just chugging a monster or just hanging out or just, being on the couch and say, not today, pop in, do a cold plunge, pop out. You got the serotonin. You're happy. You're ready to go. And then you can give them plenty of time and then put them to bed. And then you'll probably crash as well. So it's going to work out really well. I'm really looking forward to taking advantage of having one, literally steps for me. So if you're interested in those, please check out my brother's company. We're going to do We'll do a quick one today. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows how long these things go sometimes. Sometimes it's 20 minutes by myself. Sometimes it's like 3 hours. So we're going to do a little bit of real estate. Me and Jacob were talking. He's like, you've never really talked about real estate. I've never really talked about it in the other podcasts. I've kind of mentioned, but I don't really get into it too much. I find it super interesting. I'm just not sure if everybody else does. So that's why I don't talk about it too much. And I've never, done a podcast about it. So we're going to talk about a couple of the houses that I picked up the past few years.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because, you're one of those guys that when you dive into something, you dive all the way as far as you can go in.
I get obsessed.
For sure, 100%. And there's good things to be obsessed about. And, you thinking about, retirement one day and what's the right way to think about these things and, where can I be investing some money and, you got into real estate and now you have a couple of places outside of your house that you rent. And I just think it's good for people because real estate seems like one of those things that's really difficult to get into. It seems like it's oh man, most people work so hard to buy one house, I can't think about having another one or how would that even work? And, how do you even get another mortgage to blah, blah, blah. And so I just think it'd be really helpful, shoot for everybody, even me, explain how you got into it.
Okay.
We can break it down from there, but think about mistakes that you made and then things that you're glad you did.
So my whole thing about one, I'm not like a mogul, right? I don't have hundreds of places. I got a couple spots that I took my time to acquire. I probably did about 18 months to 2 years of research, literally every morning writing out deals for houses that I might buy. Write all the deals, write all the expenses. Nope, that doesn't make any sense. Scratch it. Go to the next one. And I practiced writing out deals before I would actually write out deals. I would drive properties. In that process, I drove my wife a little nuts because I would just go look at houses, look at areas, how close are you to a target. So I started paying attention to all these things that the one guy I really got up to is Grant Cardone. When I'd watch a lot of his videos, he has a whiteboard behind him and he's talking about real estate. Do this, don't do this. What is it close to? What's your NOI? Does this make sense? If it's a super high cap rate, it's probably a shit area, and he's it's usually right. So like I just started learning the lingo a little bit and started paying attention, starting writing out deals. And this was months, 2 years of just learning as much as I can, buying his books every day for an hour, 2 hours, looking at his stuff. What am I going to do? How do I do this? How do I fund it? How do you come up with the money? There's some really creative ways to finance that where I didn't really feel a financial hit, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And I like you said, I get fucking obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I got to figure this out because I don't trust my 401k, and I really don't trust the company's pension. It's not a good pension. I mean, am I lucky to have one at all? Sure. But compared to even my dad's, when he retired 8 years ago, his is like double or triple mine. It's ridiculous how it doesn't make sense. And I'm the poster child for it because I started at 18. But that's a whole nother story. So I don't really trust that system, and I don't trust the 401k because the 401k was like almost laughed at in the Wall Street game because they said like, oh yeah, go try to sell it to the common man and let me know how that works out for you. If you can do it, yeah, sure, you can trade on the money. And then they did. They got companies involved. They got tax breaks involved. So now you have all these, small, middle, medium level, whatever employees, income levels, putting all their money into Wall Street, and then people are trading on and making money off it. Yes, in the long term, does it historically make money? Yeah. But also the way I look at it, even if historically it's going to rise over the 30 years when I need it, the tax rate when I retire is going to be super high. They're not going to be taxing me less. They're going to be taxing me more. So it's like, I don't really trust it. I do put some into it because I have a company match, but I don't really want to rely on the pension or the 401k. So I go, who can I really rely on? Tom. I can rely on Tom to try to figure this out because I trust me. So I started looking, like I said, I'd walk properties out. And I got a broker, this guy named Josh. So I started talking to Josh about properties. We probably met at a dozen properties. And before I met Josh, I had a real estate lawyer that when I sold my little house in St. Charles and bought this house, we just like clicked. We were like buddies, like fast friends, one of those kind of things. Where I call him, if I call him right now, we talk on the phone for an hour. Just one of those guys. And we only met face to face twice ever in 2 years. Good dude. So we'd always bullshit, and then I asked him, hey, I want to buy a property. Who do you have, can show me kind of the ropes on the rental side of it. Hooked up with Josh. We looked at a dozen houses together. I looked at Section 8. Thought about not playing that game, but like dealing with that is a lot harder. So I decided not to go Section 8 for my first rental. And then finally ended up in buying his, which really worked out really well for Josh because I bought his property off him, and I believe he bought it, lived in it, cleaned it up, sold it for more to me. That's the game we play. He's going to buy it, make it look better, whatever. I'm going to pay more for it. When I sell it, I'm going to, sell it to the next person who's going to pay more. So he won on that deal. But he was a good dude, real fair, real honest. I acquired the property in 2020. And it's funny because like when I was talking to my dad about it, I was pretty fired up. I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm going to get my first property. And he's very old school, which, no fault of his own, but he's very 401k pension.
Yeah,
his pension's great, and his 401k is great. I'm like, and he's retired, and he already knows the tax rate. I'm like, yeah, it works for him. But I'm like, he's like, yeah, but you have to understand, like, no one's paying rent right now because they don't have to. They did the rent break, but not really the mortgage break. So the landlords are getting screwed. And I'm like, yeah, but I got to take a risk. I'm 27 at the time. I go, that's a risk that I'm going to have to take. And I'm going to buy in a nice area. I bought in Naperville. Like, it's a good area, good schools. He already had tenants in place. So I'm like, I'm going to take the risk. Like, I don't care what anybody else says. I'm going to listen to me. And the real estate people I surrounded myself with seemed to think it was a good fit, a good property. So what I did was that one I had to put 25% down, and I didn't want to take the hit. So what I did was in the 401k that I really don't believe in, but I like to use it. So I took a loan out of that. So the amount doesn't change. So let's say easy numbers, I have $100,000 on my 401k. I could take $50,000 out, and it's still going to acquire interest or whatever or go down on the value of $100,000 because I took a loan, and I'm not going to pay taxes on it because I took a loan, and I'm going to pay myself back with interest because I took a loan. So essentially, the Bank of Tom 401k I used, so I didn't have to hurry up and get my money together or drain my savings to get this property. Took that, used some of the loan to put down on the property because I had to put 25% down, which is a little bit higher. You could have played the game, did the 5% thing, but I go, you know what? I'm going to put 25% down. I want it to cash flow first month, right? So the main thing I see with people, they don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to deal with tenants. I don't want to deal with termites. And I don't want to deal with toilets, the 3 T's. I decided to skirt all those issues and hire a management company. Again, my awesome lawyer hooked me up with a management company, GC Realty. They're out of Chicagoland area. They manage about 1,500 doors last time I checked, 1,500 different places. And they're really, really knowledgeable in this area. He has a podcast, all this stuff. He's super sharp dude, Mark over there. And he's in St. Charles. I've been to his house. Really nice guy. So I'm like, you know what? They take like 8% of the rent. I go, all you. I don't, like, at that time I was working a ton. I'm like, if I leave a shift to go fix your toilet and unclog it, I lost
money.
Hundreds. Like,
Right.
this is not financially even making any sense.
Right.
Take your 8%, you deal with them. And it was easy for them because the tenants were already there. So that was pretty simple process, and they were really good tenants. They're moving out the end of June, unfortunately, so I have to find new ones. But let them deal with it. And of course, I bought it right in 2020 before everything was kind of going crazy. It's kind of started to go crazy a little bit. So the guy who sold to me made a nice little profit on it. But then now it's like way up. It's probably up 30% from when I bought it. And I've been toying around with selling it, but I think I'm just going to sit and hold. Because I think if you listen to a lot of people who talk about real estate, they'll like kind of regret selling. Unless I could take it and buy like, you know, a fourplex or whatever. They try to say just hold on as much as you can. So that's kind of like my deal for now. I'm just going to hold on to it, even though the property will go up in value. The rents will go up because the property is appraised for more, and I can get away with renting it a little bit under market to save the tenant a little bit money because it's a nice place with nice schools, but it's no maintenance. The roof is HOA, the siding and colors HOA. I have a high HOA fee. But it covers the roof, covers the siding, covers the paint, covers the mowing, covers the snow removal. I go, perfect, because I'm going to have to pay for that anyway out of pocket. So the HOA is like $250 a month, which seems really high, but I don't have to do any of these things. And it's a low-maintenance townhome. So that was my first deal. Basically, I just assumed that. I looked at the property one time, didn't get an inspection, trusted my broker. Everything worked out. Easy place, right? Second property was 18 months later. I was kind of looking, still in the market. I had the one I was comfortable with. You know, it's cash flowing me a little bit, but you know, it's tax write-off advantages, and then the appreciation over time is the big thing. Because like I said, retirement. Because in 30 years it'll be paid off, and you know, great, it'll cash flow a bunch. So second property came up with Cam's mom. She's like, she describes, these are her words, I'm a gypsy. I don't want to be here. I don't want the house. I want to be free. I want to live where I want to live. I don't really care.
Yeah.
So Cam said she was getting to a point where she was like going to pay someone to live there because his little brother was buying his first house and moving out. So she's like, this place is going to be abandoned. I go, I'll buy it. I go, let me look at it, but tell her I want first dibs. She's like, yeah, great. And then John set a day where he was buying the house, and I was like, cool. So I went again, drove the area, walked the property, checked it out with Cam's mom. We agreed on a price. It was fair. I had a decent amount of work ahead of me, just what I envisioned and what my wife envisioned the property looking like. So we acquired that property in, I want to say September 1st or October 1st. I can't remember exactly. It was right around the fall time we acquired it. Got to work right away, rented some dumpsters, dropped some trees, cleaned up the yard. We ripped out, it's about a 1,500 square foot house, give or take. Ripped out all the carpets, ripped out all the ceiling fans. What else did we do? I enclosed a wall, redid some electrical, spruced the place up, all new hardwood floors throughout it. We could have done carpet, but if you're gonna have tenants in there, it's better to have the hardwood.
Yeah,
for kids, for little dogs, or whatever, rather than having the smell sit in the carpet, even if you get them professionally cleaned. So I could do it once, do it right. We got the hardwood or LVP floors in, Had those professionally installed because I'm like, I ain't playing with this. If I mess up and work myself into a corner, I go, no thanks.
Right.
Had those professionally installed in about a weekend, and then I had Gary, just because of time constraints. I was busy at work. I'm like, Gary, I don't have time to paint this place. I go, can you go in here and spray? Can you be done in like a month? He's like, yeah, I could be done in a month. I go, cool. So he started in December, and in December he was done, gave me a great price, hooked me up, and he's a fucking painting machine.
Yeah, right.
Place
No,
looks
he's
awesome.
crazy good.
So, I mean, he painted, we went from fucking trim to ceiling. The whole place was painted. The doors, we painted everything. When I say we, I mean him. He painted everything. So I hired those two things out strictly because of time, and the flooring, I didn't really want to try to piece that together. Other than that, my wife and I, we did everything. I'd go there after work in a 16 to go fix stuff just to try to get an hour in here and there. We would pack up the kids for the weekend. We'd have them sleep on air mattresses. We would work through the night. We'd get up early, work again, distract them as much as we could while we could work, replacing fans, replacing blinds, cleaning the place up. We redid the upstairs bathroom. We almost gutted that. Besides the shower, we ripped out all the sink. When he pulled the mirror off, we didn't realize it was a deep set 4-inch. So I had to build that wall up, close it off, make sure there was electrical ran for the new one. So we redid that. That looked real nice. Like I said, all the ceiling fans we wanted to replace, did all those. In the basement, there was a wall that was kind of not to today's code, like a kid could. It was weird. You go down, you walk into the house, you'd have a living room, and then to your right, you'd have the upstairs and then the downstairs. But next to the downstairs was like a half wall that was like a quarter of the wall was open, so a kid could essentially walk through and fall into the basement. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wall this off. Typically, you're kind of opening walls now with the modern day type. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wall this off completely. I don't want to worry about anything. Yeah. Right. Oh. So I walled that off. Ran some electrical downstairs because they were all lamps that were hooked into outlets that were ran by a switch. Redid those. Redid the bathroom downstairs as well. Redid the kitchen, painted all the cabinets. Luckily, she had newer appliances in there. That was easier. And then outside was just kind of general cleanup. The outside was pretty nice. Has the what's that deca? When it's not wood.
Well, for outside.
For outside, what's the deck?
Oh my gosh.
I'm drawing a blank. Keep thinking like
composite.
Composite, is that what it is? Composite decking, basically.
Yeah.
So that was just like just general pressure wash of the house. Updated the outdoor fixtures. Updated the number to the house. Just like a bunch of little stuff. And we had a deadline of, I want to say it was October 1st to December 31st. So we're like, okay, we can do this or maybe it was mid-September. I think we had 10 or 12 week deadline, and I think we went over by 2 weeks. So I was pretty happy with that, considering, dragging the kids there, doing that whole thing with holidays in between it. Had a couple people come and help me out with some stuff, which was nice. But put a lot of work into it.
You also didn't tell your biggest secret.
What was that?
Everyone needs a DeVille to carry all your tools in.
Oh yeah, there's a trunk full of tools in my DeVille. Yeah, looking back, what I would change on that one is I would go buy a $5,000 truck.
Yeah.
And then when I was done, I'd go sell it for $5,000 and just call it a wash. Because having the DeVille was not very convenient for flipping a house. The amount of shit I would shove in that thing, and then I would have like the Escalade loaded up with stuff. I'm like, this is not ideal. Because part of us, like, we got it for a decent price. And okay, so the financing on that one was, that's the other issue. Is like, so when I bought the townhome, rates were still really low. So I got a conventional, conventional mortgage, but an investment loan for 3.875. Right. So like about a point above where it is, or a percentage above where it is, which is great. I'm like, yeah, cheap money. Awesome. So the issue now is finance is really expensive. It's like, an investment that I'm looking at 7 or 8% all day on that thing when I was going to buy it. Maybe 5 or 6 back in the fall, because it started changing right about when I bought the house. But his mom was willing to do seller financing, so we did a seller finance deal. We kept realtors out of it. No one took money out of her pocket. No one took money out of my pocket. She didn't have to show the place. She didn't have to clean anything up. I said, you leave whatever you want. Yeah. You're done. You pack your car, Deb. You don't do anything. Yeah. You need help. You let me know. Other than that, leave it. But I'm going to throw it away. Okay. So first day I had a dumpster and she left some stuff. We don't want the couches. That's fine. Chuck, garbage.
Yeah.
Worked out really well, and then she seller finance, so she's my bank. Gave me a great interest rate, and then I just talk to her every month, and I pay her.
Yeah.
Easy for her, easy for me. Save me money, save me dealing with the banks, getting approved, all that stuff. So, there are good deals out there. I think you have to be just in the market and looking, and kind of, you do have to know some people. You can't go in it blind. I think having a good broker, I didn't have to use him this time because it was Cam's mom, having a good real estate attorney, because he did my side and her side for very minimal fee. It was an easy closing. Took longer than I wanted, unfortunately, but as far as closing in the house was easy. And then again, we got it ready to show. We tossed around the idea of just selling it, but we're going to sit on it. And I think it's going to be my girls' college fund house. That's what we kind of call it, is the college fund house. Took a 15-year loan on it. So that way, when they're 18, 19, right around there, it'll be paid off and it's going to cash flow because it's in a great area. So got about January 15th, it was ready for market. And then February 15th, tenants were in. So family's in there now. And again, I'm not going to go unclog your toilet at midnight. Not my deal. So GC Realty took over that house as well. And they managed that, got the tenants in, and then they deal with them. And I essentially every month now, I assume the debt. At the end of every month, I go, okay, what did I make? They'll send me an invoice. Oh, the plumber was there. That was $500. Maintenance guy, $600. Okay, I didn't make any money on that house that month. But it's like, you know what? That's the game you play. Sometimes, there's nothing happens on both places. Sometimes, all the profit is gone and then some. But for me, it's never get rich quick. It's get wealthy forever. That's the goal. And part of me has toyed around with selling the one, but I'm like, you know what? Let's ride them out and let's, try to acquire another one. I think after doing this one and not selling it, I think me and Amber actually worked really well together, and that was surprising for me because I'm very strong-headed and kind of things my way. You don't understand this. You're flipping it. So there was we didn't have a lot of that. It was actually worked really well together. So I think I do want to try flipping this year if I can find the right property to do it with. I think that's one thing me and her are going to try just because she's got a good vision. I don't have the vision. I could do some bland shit. I don't care. But she's got the vision to make it look good and look nice and kind of show better. So I'm like, yeah, she's better at that. I'll take the extra day or two and put these black knobs instead of the gray ones on. Like, okay, right. That you're the boss on that. Like that's the thing. Like, it's kind of helped us be better in our relationship. Is that's her department, this is my department, and we can come together on things. But that's what she said she wanted on this certain product. That's the color she wanted these cabinets. That's the faucet she wanted. I don't agree with that. I wouldn't put that in. That's not my department
It's
anymore.
not your job, right?
You sent that off. I sent that off. That's what she decided. That's what I'm putting in.
Yep.
Very simple. Came to the door. Okay, that's what Amber wants. So that delegation of this is yours, this is mine, as far as just jobs in the house kind of helped. So I think down the road, and I have a client, Anthony, who does flips out in New York. So I think I'm going to have him on the podcast. I want to talk to him more about that when I start looking for more deals, because it's kind of a new space for me. But I think that would be fun, just because we like doing it.
Yeah.
If we could find one closer, that'd be ideal. Because the hour drive, it was a great deal, and it helped Deb out and it helped me out, getting my college fund house going. But it was like, man, the 2 hours every day, or going there from work to go work 8 hours, to drive home at midnight, like 100% worth it. But it was like, whew, if this house was 10 minutes away, that'd be great. Because if I forgot a tool, I don't have to go to Home Depot because I'm like, I'm not going to go home and get this. I got to go buy it.
Yeah.
That kind of got a little old. But a lot of lessons learned there, and just it was fun. It was a fun project.
Well, the house next to my mom's, at some point, somebody's going to flip.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Because the one next to it looks great.
Yes.
That one.
And the one next to it. It's only one, but anyway. All right. So wait. Let's hear real quick. One, or two mistakes or things you wish you would have done differently, looking back on it, other than what you just said about closer to where you live.
Yeah. I think location is everything, right? We bought in I don't really care that it was far. I mean, it kind of got old, but we bought in a really good area. So I think that's something to Glenn to look at. If you want to buy more lower income places, you have to kind of worry about who's going to be renting those. We specifically went towards Naperville. Now our two places are 10 minutes apart from each other. Great schools. You're going to get good families in there. Low turnover rate. Mistakes. Part of me wishes I would have played the game in my first one and kept more money in my pocket to buy another one faster. Because I put 25% down, and then, just to be blunt, it was 42 grand.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I took the 401k loan out, so but if I played the game and said, I'm renting my primary residence house, that's gonna be my primary residence, I'll put 5% down. I could have played that game. I could have put, kept 30 grand in my pocket maybe, and then I could have bought the one next to it too.
Right.
But kind of wish I would have done that back then because the money was so cheap. I
Sure.
probably could have picked up two, and then, if I wanted to sell one now, okay, cool, I could sell that and put something in my pocket. I wish I would have done that. The new house, we budgeted 25 grand for rehab, which I was like, I'm not usually pretty, tight with my budget at home. It's more like kind of willy-nilly, but just kind of, hey, don't go crazy. This was, I wrote down every single transaction in my MacBook or whatever. And we went over, but there was things like I couldn't predict, right? So I think next time I'd have like a 5 grand almost, or maybe I put a 10 to 15% waiver of money over here just in case, because 2 days before the renters moved in, my furnace quit working.
Oh yeah.
Remember I had that I was going back. I fixed it up. Cool. I left. It's great. Hey, Jersey, you're a cop in the area. Can you just swing by the house, make sure? It's freezing in here. Are you kidding me? So whatever I did, that was like where it was kind of like drawn on me, because I would go there for an hour, or I'd drive an hour to go work there for 10 minutes to get something fixed, and then I'd go home, and then the next day it would break, and I'd order a different part, and I'd go back, and I was doing that for a while. So it's like that wasn't all of a sudden I need 2 grand, 2,500, and I had to go replace that. I probably, knowing that we were going to rent it, I would have probably had more talks with Amber about her department of things we were getting for it, because the renter probably doesn't care that the faucet's gold.
Right.
Don't care. Maybe we could have saved $50 there, and then just a lot of little stuff could add it up to where we could have maybe made it more bland, or not necessarily bland, but taken some of the extra stuff we put into it because we wanted it to show really well, but we weren't selling it.
Mm-hmm.
But part of me was going back and forth. I'm like, do I sell this thing? Like, I think I can make a good profit. Like, we killed it. This flip looks awesome. I was like, oh, maybe we'll hold it. So like, not knowing what we were going to do with it 100% yet made sense to why we did it. But now looking back, I'm like, why did we do that all gold there? Why did we do this here? Like, we could have left it. We could have left this bathroom. We could have saved $4 grand there. I'm not doing that. And just because it was renters, who cares?
Right.
Not who cares, but like, we don't need to show it as well.
Sure.
But like towards the end of it, even she was like, because we wanted the back door painted black, I think, the back door and the front door. It was just, they kind of stood out, but not in a good way. And Gary, I'm like, just forget it. Even she was like, I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I go, Amber, we're done. Like, if the door's brown or black, it don't really matter.
Yeah, no one's worried about it.
It's a rental.
Right.
But we wanted, it was our first one together where we, like I said, we didn't know what we were going to do with it 100% at first. So we wanted to make it awesome. It was our first thing together. Now I would think what I would do like right away is I'd have, here's 5 to 7 grand. Take pictures of everything we're replacing. Make sure we order the right things. We go to Amazon. We price things out. Because you start going to Home Depot and stuff, you can easily go from a $60 faucet to a $120 faucet to a $220 faucet.
Yep.
And then you make, okay, it's a trip today and it's not that bad. It's $300. But then you go back tomorrow, it's $400. Then you go back the next day, it's $200. Like if we had a laundry list of this is what we need, A through Z list, and went to Amazon, bought it, and we know, okay, hey, we're in a B class neighborhood or an A class neighborhood. We got to step it up because they're expecting these townhomes to be nicer. Or we can grade this as B, and we can get away with mid-grain, stainless steel, flush, nothing crazy gold stuff like we did before. And it's going to rent. If I have a gold faucet, not gold, but the color gold faucet,
Right.
or a stainless steel one, guess what? My rent's not based off the faucet.
Correct.
And that's kind of what we learned at the end of it. Like, hey, we maybe didn't need to go a little bit above and beyond. We could have, okay, we're going to ride this B-class line because that's what it's going to rent for, and it's not going to change the rent $200 a month if we do X, Y, and Z. But if I make the backyard nicer, it might actually make might be fit. Like those kind of things we maybe should have discussed more, but it was our first one.
Yeah.
So going forward, it'd be a little bit more organized. If this is what we're doing, this is the plan. Order it, send it to the house. We'll have the boxes there. Cool.
Wow, awesome. Yeah. I think that's great. You know, again, it seems like such a daunting thing, but just hearing you walk through it actually seems pretty normal. It seems like the thing that I hear, you know, you saying is obviously, you know, find the right deal. That's important. You know, think about how much work you want to do in terms of managing the property, and then figuring out your financing in a good way, right? So it leaves you in a good spot.
Yeah, because you don't like even like the big down payment. Can you excuse me? Can you find that somewhere else where it doesn't? Because other things, you start, you know, you buy a property and then you have a financial stress in your family. Then you're stressed about that. You're stressed maybe working on the property. You're stressed because you don't know if a renter's going to be in there or not. And then it's like bam, bam, bam. You're compounding stress. So if you can find creative ways to finance, right? Seller finance deals are great. They're out there. Using maybe some of your money that, you know, in a system that I don't really believe in, but I will use to my advantage to pull funds from. Because, you know, as soon as I pay that, you know, that very small loan payment I pay myself back with interest every month, when that's paid off, I'm going to pull right back out and go buy another one.
Yeah.
I'll use that system for Tom's benefit because I don't really trust it. That way, when I retire, I'm sure all the loans are paid off, and maybe that's easy numbers. Maybe I have a $500,000 in there, and I could add $1 million if I really tried. But then now I have 10 houses.
Right.
Fuck your 401k.
Right.
I don't need it. Like, I don't trust it. These houses are real. I can't. That money that's in where the Target 2055 fund. Where is it? I don't know. What are you invested in? Target 2055 fund.
Right.
What does that mean? A fund that's gonna be targeted for people who are gonna retire in 2055. You don't know what it is, but I can go to my townhome and I can go to my house in Naperville and I can touch it. It's real.
And you also can't predict the next COVID, right? Like,
right.
You know, my mom retired during COVID, and you know, she talks about all the time her 401k and how it went down and this and that, and you know, it's a stress on her. And luckily, she's still, you know, relatively young, so like I think she'll be fine. But yeah, it's why not be smart? Why not hedge your bets? Why not
take a risk?
Yeah,
especially if you're like, you know, most of the listeners in our demographics, 20 to 40-year-olds probably. You got to take some risk. Like, that's just my whole thing. Like, I was told, hey, there's nobody paying rent. Don't do that. Or, you know, hey, what if they trash the place? That's a risk I'm going to take. What if the market trashes my 401k? What's the difference?
Correct.
You know, at least I can touch these things, and I'm getting paid the whole time while I have them.
Well, and it's really, they're basically large savings accounts.
Yeah, huge, and it's large tax write-offs.
I mean, every time you pay your mortgage, it's essentially putting money into a savings account.
Every time the tenant pays your mortgage.
Well, yeah, once you get renters. But no, it's like, it's just, you're paying your savings account. It's just, people act like that money's going away. It's not. It goes into equity into your house.
Right.
Which, unlike cars, usually puts up in a good place if it's in the right neighborhood and all that. So.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like, this, like, back to the 401k thing real quick. It's like, put it this way. If somebody walked up to you and said, give me 5% of your paycheck, 10% of your paycheck for your whole life, and you can't touch it. You know, usually, right? You can't usually take loans out, but sometimes you can. Give me 5% of your paycheck forever, and then I'm going to go make you some money on it maybe. I wouldn't do that deal. Or like, oh, here, take $1 million, and we're going to hold on to it for 30 years, and then when you retire, you still can't touch it. Well, you could, but you're going to get taxed really, really hard. So why don't you wait till you're 62? Like, what am I waiting for? I'm 62, and now all this money I've saved for 30 years, I could finally touch it. But not a lot of it because they forget. That's taxed as normal income right now.
Yep.
You take $100,000 out, guess what? You don't have $100,000 because the tax guy's going to come knocking when you go do your taxes. Like, oh, shit.
Right.
What do you mean? That's my 401k. I'm allowed to. Nope. That's ordinary income.
Right. Yeah.
Not good. So I'm not a huge fan of it. Someone say, give me all your money for your entire time you work and you can't touch it. Nah, no good. And guys laugh at me at work. I go, okay, we'll see what happens when I'm 55 and you're 55. Right. I hope I'm right and you're right. I hope you do super well and I do super well. And we're all like, your way worked and so did mine. Cool. I don't think so.
But you also,
I bet on Tom.
Well, and you also know. Right? Like you're somewhat in control of it.
Yeah, and I know these properties are great.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you have control over it. Like to me, knowing and knowing you have some ability to do something about it's important. Like people, stock, 401ks and stuff went down when the market, didn't crash but dropped pretty heavily during
Right.
Corona.
But also came back crazy strong. And I can go on
Yeah.
a whole different tangent about that, about some money that because they fake money that I made and lost, right? Because you never touch it, right?
Sure.
If you don't sell it, never touch it. But like, yeah, that was a wild 2 years.
Yeah, right.
Like you made millionaires and you made broke people.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was wild.
regardless, either way, you didn't have control over it.
No,
Just happened
you
to
wake
you.
up and it was either up or down.
You just look at the phone, but oh well, good, bad, ooh, yeah. I mean,
Yep.
for you, it's like no, I can put research into where I'm going to get. I can work on the house itself and increase the value of the house and
Yep, force appreciation.
yeah, like I mean, it's being in control for me is always a stress reducer.
Yeah, that's why I like try to be in control as many things as I can, and it's not that I'm the smartest guy ever. I learn from other people. I take advice from people that I want advice from and I think are knowledgeable and doing better than I am, and I took a risk, and a lot of stuff like you don't know how to flip a house. Yeah, dude, me neither. I don't know how to build a wall. How do I build a wall? All right. 16-inch studs, put this. Okay, the drywall, do you want 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch? Because if it's too big, never thought about that. How do I do plumbing? How do you do like I would just look this stuff up and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, cool. Looks good. Works good. Not leaking. Nice.
Perfect.
Hope I don't have to call the plumber lately.
Yeah.
But I would just, it's one of the most like easiest things ever is like people, how do I do this? Google. Like, there's a video forever. I could say, how do I fix a wheel bearing on an O2 DeVille? In 3 seconds, a video is going to show up. Here's how you do a wheel bearing on an O2 DeVille. It's like, it's on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, but there's, it's the risk, it's the effort. Nobody wants to do it. I like doing it. So I implore people to try to get into it if they can. Now is a hard time, but there's still deals out there. There's still houses to be flipped. People are dying and they need to off-sell houses, and someone's got to be there to buy them.
Yeah, and look, businesses are businesses for a reason because people are making money at them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like nobody's selling or buying houses right now. Like people are still doing it, so that means there's money being made. Nobody would do it if they were losing money on every single thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's always money out there. You just got to find it and do your research and figure it out.
Yep. So it's fun for me to talk about. Like I said, I just want a 30-minute tangent about it. I really enjoy real estate. I like it. It's fun, and it's real. That's what the whole thing about it is for me. It's real. I could see the money in my account. I could see my tenants paying off my mortgages. I could see my equity and like Jacob said, you have control. You don't have total control of the market, right? But even if the market dips in the areas where I bought, it's not going to be as hard because they're really good neighborhoods. And real estate's always going to come back. It's always like a 3 to 5% appreciation rate. So I can see, okay, when I go to pay this off in 15 years or this one in 30 years, it's most likely going to be worth X, Y, and Z. And, for the most part, the past 2 years is not really a good way to put any research on because it's like a 30% increase here. It's like that you can't, bank
can't
on
predict
that ever
that,
happening.
right.
So, like I said, it's not a get rich quick. I think it's get wealthy forever. And I think that's my main goal. And I just like doing new shit, learning things and figuring how to do plumbing, how to do tile, how do I do tile? And, the funny thing on YouTube is like when you start doing like home projects, it's like I would just find the same guy because he like was so in depth. It's like a trainer, right? Like Jacob's so in depth about this rehab. Like, oh, he's got to know everything, so I'm just gonna go to him for everything. You'd find the YouTube guy be like, this guy knows everything.
Yep.
Go to his page, and it's just like it's all out there. Dude. You could do anything to your house almost via YouTube. So I just implore people just to fucking take a risk, dude. Do something. If it makes you scared, then do it. I don't know. Too many people are scared, and they're banking on their companies taking care of them. But if you die tomorrow, your job post will be up the next day. So,
look, nobody has to wake up and be you every day, but you.
Bingo.
People forget that.
Let's end on that, dude.
All right.
Be better.